Hello, and welcome to this edition of Food Waste Matters, brought to you by Honey and Fox, sponsored by Fight Food Waste CRC. I'm Andrew Robertson, joining you for a series of conversations with industry leaders on the front lines in the fight against food waste. And we'll be discussing business, innovation, and how these concepts combine to reduce food waste in Australia and around the world. Be sure to check out the website, fightfoodwastehub.com.au, for more info about the series and access to previous recordings, including transcripts, audio, and video. We're also on YouTube, so please subscribe to our channel, Food Waste Matters. Well, as we know, upcycling and the circular economy principles are central to reducing food waste. There really are almost limitless opportunities out there for sustainability-conscious entrepreneurs in this area. And the combination of food production waste streams with novel upcycled product ideas has been a recurring theme on this program. So I'm very happy today to speak with Vanessa Murillo and Lachlan Powell from Queensland-based snack food brand I Am Grounded. The company uses upcycled coffee fruit to create healthy plant-based treats. Well, it's my favorite combo of coffee and snacks. Vanessa, originally from Colombia, has deep family connections to the coffee business, which allowed her to see this unique opportunity. So she teamed up with Lachlan to establish the business in 2020. And it's not just the upcycling and reduction of food waste that's impressive. The brand is growing, and there's a range of flavors with new products in the mix and a serious retail distribution plan, including through major supermarket chains. So Vanessa and Lachlan, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having us.
Yes, hello.
It's great to have you. And well, there's just so much to talk about today. But maybe we could start with a brief overview of the company, including the inspiration behind it and your shared journey as founders.
Sure.
Well, we usually like to start with, as you described it, I guess the waste problem. So most people, especially in Australia, don't actually realize that coffee is actually a fruit. So I know we'll talk about it a little bit in this, but we always like to start by just explaining to people that coffee actually starts its life as a ripe red or yellow cherry on a coffee plant. And obviously, because we don't grow much coffee here in Australia, we don't really see that. But unfortunately, in the current way we pick and harvest coffee, we discard about 70% of that overall coffee fruit for the two small beans inside, which is what we traditionally use to obviously make coffee, the coffee beans. Whereas that fruit is, as I said, discarded on the coffee farm and left in generally large piles to rot and waste away on the farm, which obviously is leaching acidic toxins into the surrounding environment, as well as CO2 emissions in the atmosphere. So we actually take that otherwise the discarded coffee fruit and upcycle that, as you mentioned, into our energy snacks. And that's really the core of I guess, why we got I Am Grounded going. And Ness could probably explain more about the roots behind it, I guess.
Yeah. So at the core of what we're doing is we're utilizing something that's been around for hundreds of years. Coffee farmers have been eating the remaining byproducts of the coffee beans, which is the delicious coffee fruit, for a long time. And commercialization of the rest of the coffee industry, the unseen parts, are slow to commercialize, but there is some more commercialization happening. And so Lachlan and I, we're life partners. We've been together for 13 years, and we've just grown up. I guess I've grown up in the coffee industry, being an immigrant from Colombia and migrating to Australia with my family, bringing with them the knowledge and the contacts that they have in the coffee industry. My father's a renowned coffee expert. He's a food scientist and a chef as well, and he's dedicated part of most of his career to working with coffee farmers on byproduct management and yield and operations around getting a better crop or a better cup at the end of the day. So as a young child and growing into my teens, I was very much immersed in the industry in Australia, and was able to also accompany my parents on multiple origin trips around Central America and South America, where I saw firsthand how coffee is grown and what's happening in the industry, and how a lack of empowerment can lead to disempowerment for farmers and a lack of opportunity for them to be able to create change in their lives, but also create an opportunity for commercializing the other parts of coffee, which are a large part. So that's a very, very fast snippet of, I guess, what we're doing with I'm Grounded. It's very much deeply rooted in my family history and Lachlan's love of cooking and healthy eating and active lifestyle. So we've merged those two things as the foundations of I'm Grounded to bring consumers delicious snacks that are lightly caffeinated and that are also fight food waste and in a very innovative and novel way.
Oh, that's brilliant. Okay, we're definitely going to talk a bit more about the Colombia aspects of the story. You mentioned that the farmers would traditionally eat the spent berries themselves. Can you tell us a bit more about that? How would you prepare them? And what does it taste like?
Yeah, so great question. Coffee fruit is a berry. It's essentially a berry or a cherry, and it has tart flavors. So depending on the varietal of coffee, coffee has multiple varietals. It will be sweeter, more honey, or more tart, citrusy. Nothing like coffee. It doesn't have the coffee flavor. Coffee flavor comes from the beans, and that comes from the roasting process. So in the fruit, we also have an education part to inform consumers about the fruit part of coffee, not being the taste of coffee, of course. And farmers have been eating it for a long time to get energy. They would eat and suck on the fruit while it's ripe to be able to energize themselves. Or they can traditionally pick the fruit and dry the fruit and steep it in water to make a tea. So there are multiple applications for coffee and the coffee fruit. And it's great to see that innovation now rolling into drinks and snacks like ours, and kind of being a bit more disruptive in the way we think about the usage of the coffee fruit.
Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what's different about the way that you guys process the berry compared to, say, those other more traditional ways of consuming it.
Yeah, well, I guess the big thing is there isn't really traditionally an infrastructure allowing people to use the coffee fruit. So it's the processing of the fruit that is, I guess, the new technology, which is what we're using. The steeping part of the coffee is a simple way of using the outside skin that Vanessa mentioned, and that is something that we've seen some companies experiment with. But the fruit itself, there just hasn't really been that education piece behind, I guess, translating the goodness of the coffee fruit and then the end customer understanding it, which is, I guess, our challenge. And so it is something that we're trying to really educate the consumer first. So there's a demand for the fruit side of things, and then that way that'll grow, I guess, the piece of the technology demand at an origin level, which is back at these coffee producing countries. So it is definitely a bit of a new space, although, the use of byproducts at a farm level is a pretty common thing, and it's been done for a long time. But I guess the popularizing it now with customers is probably the new thing over the past couple of years, which upcycling ties into. People understanding that there is a side stream that's caused in the majority of, I guess, farming that we do. There's some sort of side stream of something produced, and often it's not used. And I guess that is our challenge of showcasing the coffee fruit in that way, because obviously being in Australia, we don't have access right here in our home to all. So we got Vanessa's connections in Colombia, definitely, but it's something that we focus here in this market to make sure there's an end use case for the product, and then work our way back to origin.
Terrific. So back on those farms in Colombia, and of course that there has been utilization of byproducts and waste streams for a long time, but presumably there's still a lot of waste that can be further utilized and further upcycled. What has been the contribution or the impact that your company has made to reducing food waste on farms? And maybe tell us a bit more about the impact on the actual farmers themselves in Colombia.
So yeah, to paint a picture, I guess, on the problem. So roughly translated, about 20 billion kilos of this coffee fruit pulp and skin is wasted each year across the world. So across the 25 million or so coffee farmers that harvest coffee. It's very hard to measure that. So there's been a few, sources that that are now projecting slightly more. It depends on obviously on the yield each year, which is an incredible waste problem that, you know, has a potential to be able to innovate and empower change in the way we harvest and the way we pay our farmers. So I'm Grounded, we work directly with 10 to 12 small microlot farms that all harvest coffee in one region of Colombia. And when they process that coffee, the side stream is there on farm. So when they pick the coffee, when it gets processed straight away, we then wash the coffee because it's a washed coffee, and the coffee fruit process starts where we concentrate the skin and the mucilage, and we keep the goodness, and the beans continue their life cycle to be green beans to be able to be sold, and the coffee fruit continues its processing, which is a compressed method. With us, we pay a premium for that. So usually what would happen on farm is farmers would discard the coffee fruit when it's time to harvest the beans, and they would throw that coffee fruit into big piles of waste. So think like concrete piles of waste, and they would have to pay a waste management fee to pick that up, or because it's quite expensive, they would just let it rot. And because it rains, 3 to 4 times a day at least, in a coffee farm where it's tropical or subtropical, it's going to leach into surrounding waterways, into the environment. It's going to acidify and become a toxin because it starts to decompose upon itself. And in Colombia, we grow 1/3 of the world's coffee. So this problem exists in countries that are growing a lot of coffee. So Vietnam, Brazil, Colombia as examples. And so what we're doing is we're basically providing farmers an additional income for a waste stream that would have just been rotted. There isn't a composting or a solution like that because of the amount of waste that's just the piles of heaps of waste that are produced on farm. And that allows them to be able to obviously get that additional income, but it also allows us to be able to measure that offset of that coffee fruit byproduct and be able to utilize that as an amazing ingredient in our products.
Yeah, so we're over 10 tons of coffee fruit easily now that we've upcycled from otherwise going to waste. And now that we're obviously with our distribution through Woolworths, that's going to significantly grow, considering every single one of our snacks produced is a certain amount of coffee fruit that's offset from otherwise going to landfill. So obviously we track that on a products produced basis. So we're looking forward to continually to track our impact from a sustainability perspective, and as Vanessa said, as sort of an impact for working directly with the farmers and that extra income that can be supporting the farmers.
Well, it's great to be making an impact in all those different areas, as you said, reducing the food waste and also assisting farmers to supplement their incomes. While at the same time, an angle that I wasn't really aware of was removing the potential for toxins to be leaching into the local environment. So congratulations. The waste stream is obviously an important aspect of what you do, but let's talk about what that waste stream turns into, the product itself. Tell us more about the product and how you came up with the idea and how you actually developed it.
Yeah, it's a really cool, I think it's a cool story. As I said before, Lachlan's a very passionate cook. He's grew up in a household of very good cooks and healthy, active, people. His parents are both Ironman triathletes, and his stepdad's an Ironman coach who was just inducted into the Ironman Hall of Fame, which is a massive deal. So you can imagine growing up, Lachlan was obviously had a very active childhood, and then obviously eating health-wise was very healthy and whole ingredients, and so he's definitely brought that ethos into I'm Grounded, and he created our snacks basically using the coffee fruit and thinking about how we can use it in a different way. And he was like, why not make it in energy bars? He loves, you love snacks, you love to eat these awesome snacks, but there's nothing, if you walk down the health aisle, the snack aisle, there wasn't anything back in the day 4 years ago that was really healthy. It was all whole ingredients. It was a lot of fillers, a lot of preservatives. And so he was looking for something to snack on during his day, and for me to snack on during my day as, busy corporate millennials and, people that are active. And so he thought about using the coffee fruit. I had it with me as sample from my travels to Colombia. and Lachlan thought, let's use it in an energy bar, because why not? And they tasted amazing. They turned out really delicious, and as actually the ones that he made on those days, those flavors are still our core 3 flavors, because yeah, he just nailed it. Obviously they've been changed, and the recipes obviously being improved, but and finessed for scale, but the core idea of using whole nuts and whole coffee fruit and having, you know, really natural ingredients to energize you is still the same premise, and still all the same base ingredients for all of our snacks.
Yeah, and I guess we you know, we were first looking at it from a sustainability perspective, and then as we said, when you look at the research behind coffee fruit being so good for you from a antioxidant perspective, as well as the natural caffeine it has. So we didn't touch on it, but it's not as much as the coffee bean. It's about a, you know, sort of like we compare it to a green tea level of caffeine. So definitely going to give you a buzz without overly stimulating. So, you know, you put those 2 things together plus sustainability, and then that's why we thought it's the perfect vehicle for a you know, a snack that's actually going to do something for you and give you a functional benefit. So that's why the bars were an easy entry point for us when we actually tried it, and you know, they tasted great. Obviously formulating from there, we thought it would be pretty simple, but it's been a number of years getting the recipes right, because at the end of the day, like, you can have the best, you know, idea for a product in the world, but unless it's going to be shelf stable and at a price point that customers want to buy, that's probably been the biggest challenge to get all that side of things right. But yeah, we've got the 5 flavors now, as we said, coming in the 45-gram product size. There's just 3 of them there, and you know, we call out I guess the different you know, the different aspects of the coffee fruit, as well as, you know, the times of day to have the product as a bit of a play on the marketing to showcase that, you know, when you might want that bit of a caffeine kick, you know, so like at 3 o'clock, for example, is the perfect time for a bit of a treat that tastes good, that's healthy, but it's also going to give you a bit of a kick of caffeine, sort of like ours is about 40 milligrams in our 3 o'clock one. So, you know, it's a better alternative than, you know, an unsustainable or unhealthy energy drink, or that extra sort of 4th coffee that you might have. So that's really what we're pushing for customers to understand, the differences in caffeine, because not all caffeine is equal, and then understanding that they can actually have that functional benefit from a food as opposed to just a drink.
Oh, terrific! I had no idea, Lachlan, that you cooked these things up in the kitchen lab yourself.
Yep.
Amazing, and still using those same, well, basically some version of those same original recipes. It's good to hear. You've mentioned some of the aspects of the marketing approach that you take. For example, you mentioned targeting some of the corporate millennials. And using certain, you know, with a healthy product that ticks a lot of boxes. Many millennials and younger people are very sustainability conscious, and using the angle of the times of day as well to help people to think about when they might like to have one of these treats. Is there anything more you can tell us about the marketing aspects, and also how do you distribute the product?
I find this very fascinating, because I come from a marketing background, and having the challenge of showcasing an upcycled ingredient that is unknown to the market, as well as launching something that's functional, which are two kind of trendy terms in the moment in FMCG. I find it very fascinating to kind of get the feedback from consumers around what really catches their eye around our products. And what we've done since the start of our business is we've crowdsourced our feedback on on our packaging. So we've opened up our feedback funnel for taste testers and ambassadors. We have 30 taste tester customers and ambassadors from 4 segments of our customers. So we've identified 4 key customer segments: you know, sporting athletes, your corporate millennials, your vegan, health conscious, and then your students. And those 4 people make up a group of I Am Grounded ambassadors that feed back on certain core aspects of our packaging, of our call outs, of our tastes, of a new product development. That's helped us to kind of give us a bit of a different mindset on when we're launching new NPD, that we're mindful of how consumers are receiving that information. And we've done that since the start. Before we had the ambassadors, we had coffee shops. We partnered with coffee shops because of the coffee aspect, and we heard a lot about what they were saying around merchandising our product. Sustainability was a massive one, but actually what was more important was, what does this product do for me? So the job to be done. So we shifted more of our language away from being upcycled, very upcycled focused, and more on getting the consumer to pick up the product quickly and purchase it without having too many barriers to think about. And then plus, oh my God, look at this amazing sustainability story, look at this impact story. And that's been underlining now in the new products that we've developed. We're developing for consumers first, and then plus your upcycling, plus your mission story. And that's because consumers, they don't have much time these days, and it's more of a convenient place. So that's why our distribution strategy is about being placed in places where consumers are going. So for us, the big play was a big retailer like Woolworths, who are focused on sustainability, focused on fighting or cutting food waste in their supply chain. It made sense that we went with them, and we are exclusive to them, which is amazing. They've been a really great support partner for us to be able to launch into nearly 1,000 Woolworths stores, which is a massive undertaking for our business. But it means that now, distribution wise, we can cover 70 to 80% of the country just with this one distribution channel, which is insane. And then of course we're e-commerce first, and we go into cafes where people want us, tech offices, hotels. We're really focused on where we can be, where consumers might need a pick-me-up during their day, and that's where we want I'm Grounded bars or I'm Grounded snacks to be.
So if anyone out there wants to get their hands on some Iron Grounded bars, they should head to Woolworths, to the health aisle, and find them there.
Yeah, definitely. We're up in, as we said, pretty much all major Woolies at the moment. So either there, and if you want, obviously on our website, as Vanessa said, is a very easy place too. But yeah, we're trying to really get people to Woolworths. There are already so many people that shop there. It's just a matter of being aware of our, I guess, the coffee fruit and our brand as well, and what we stand for.
Definitely. And I think it's really important also, Vanessa, that what you addressed around putting the consumer first in these things. Now, of course, we all want to maximize the amount of food waste that we can reduce. But if the consumers aren't interested in the product and the company isn't successful financially and isn't viable, then they obviously won't be able to do much reduction of that food waste at all. So finding that right balance between a product that the market wants and contributing to the reduction of food waste is so important, and very difficult balance to strike, isn't it?
Yes, it is. That's why we've been very open with our customers and our early adopters, and they've been instrumental in how we've grown and where we've grown our business. Because just listening to consumers and what they think, what they want from a product, is easier than creating NPD that you believe will make impact, or that you yourself think is great but might not translate in market. So our products have gone through a lot of iterations to get to the stage that they're at, to make it very easy and clear for consumers to be able to make that impact, but also to have a functional benefit.
It's taken it, as we said, we launched properly into market just after or during COVID, and before that we was literally spent a good 18 months to 2 years developing I guess the initial distribution, as in seeing if a customer would simply buy it at a cafe down the road, for example, and then seeing obviously what we can do to the recipe, which we've already said was quite a challenge, but then just in general what customers would lean towards with the product, and obviously trying to go at it from a way of, if we were at a scaled with the product, if we were at scale, we don't want to be a niche that might do fantastic for the world, but if no one's purchasing it, it's not really a viable business, like you mentioned. So
what's really great as well, I just remembered, we're the first members to join the Upcycled Food Association in Australia. So obviously UFA, Upcycled Food Association, is a growing number of like-minded companies and individuals, and from startup to basically large companies, all basically doing something around the food waste problem in the the upcycled space and turning that into awesome CPG, consumer product goods. And we've been very lucky to be able to travel to the US last year and be part of the Upcycled Food Association at Expo West to see what's happening in the innovation, what are people, what snacks are coming out, what drinks are coming out, and to see what's happening in that space and how much retailers are supporting upcycling in merchandising, in store, from that level to a consumer level. There is so much work happening in that space, and it's great to know that there is innovation happening, and we're very passionate about helping other brands that want to utilize upcycled ingredients here in Australia, because we have that foresight from the US, and we see that innovation and that research, and we can see kind of how it translates to a consumer level. So that's kind of something we also do on the side is have conversations with brands around what they can do to translate this amazing idea of upcycling into a sellable consumer product.
Right. Well, on that note, would you have any specific tips for anyone who might be listening and wants to make an impact in this space as an entrepreneur?
I would definitely have a look at the Upcycled Food Association's website. They have amazing resources, research from across the world, including in Australia and New Zealand, around buying habits, consumer habits, retailer insights on what retailers want, depending if that's where you want to go into a big box retailer or an e-retailer, and have a look at that research, read what's happening, join the UFA if you are using an upcycled ingredient. Look at Food Hack, for example, and what's happening in the food stream space around byproduct innovation. And if you want to reach out to me on my email at hello@imgrounded.co. Send me an email if you're interested to kind of navigate it yourself around the space. I'm more than happy to kind of gear you in the right direction, because I would have loved to have had that when we were starting. And I want to be able to give back in that way to help people navigate a space that is very important to grow in, but also very difficult.
Yeah, and from a development perspective, I mean, as we said, we've developed everything in-house, and it's, you shouldn't feel like, I guess you're not qualified to look at if you're, food particularly, or in beverage, or if anything regarding, this new wave of upcycling or using a discarded product. I mean, we didn't have any formal culinary experience, so that hasn't stopped us from getting where we are. And it's all, obviously everything's online these days that you can, if you do want to learn. And I mean, it's actually good to come at it from an untrained perspective, or not a strong background in conventional ways to do things in food and distribution in food and beverage products in Australia, because that's allowed us to really challenge some of the ideas that people hold strongly. And then we go on pretty alternative with the way we've launched our product, and it actually has really helped us, that bit of a lack of previous experience coming into it. So I would say definitely don't let that sort of thing hold anyone back from trying things and seeing what works.
Thanks. Really good advice there. And the UFA sounds like a terrific resource for everyone to check out. So appreciate you pointing us towards that. And Vanessa, especially generous of you to open your inbox to others out there who want to make a difference. It's really good. It sounds like you guys are ticking all the right boxes. Interesting. I could probably keep talking to you guys, but we're out of time, unfortunately. I just want to say thank you so much for coming to talk to us today, Vanessa and Lachlan. I will be in the supermarket aisles looking for these, and I hope our subscribers will be too. And for me, as a Queenslander, there's an added bonus of supporting that Queensland-made product. So Lachlan and Vanessa, thank you so much for coming along today.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Great questions.
And thanks to our subscribers for joining us on this edition of Food Waste Matters, brought to you by Honey and Fox and sponsored by the Fight Food Waste CRC. The Fight Food Waste Hub is for everyone who is interested in reducing food waste. Invite your colleagues to sign up to our mailing list and get notified when new content is published. Just visit our website, fightfoodwastehub.com.au. Don't forget to also subscribe to the YouTube channel, Food Waste Matters. And if you want to get in touch with us here at the Hub, you can send an email to hello@fightfoodwastehub.com.au. We'd love to hear from you with your feedback, comments, or questions. Until next time, keep up the fight.